was 2.
No.
2.
A few things. All right. Live.
Oh, I didn't know we had Matthew McConaughey with us today.
Matthew McConaughey?
He's the one who does that.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, boy. This shirt does not accentuate, or does accentuate, my growing belly. But that's okay. Hello, folks. Jordan.
What a way to start a live stream.
Yes. Jordan Sheridan.
Jenn Dies. Sorry, I'm doing some back-end things.
Yes. Multitasking. We are in Cleveland, Ohio. Jenn and Colin have been here for a couple days. I just got here yesterday after quite the adventure in the airport. I could tell you about that in a little bit. But we are now 2 days. Oh, the camera's over there and I'm looking away. We're now 2 days away from the special election here in Cleveland between Nina Turner and her main opponent, corporatist city councilwoman here, Shontel Brown. There's actually 11 other candidates other than Nina Turner and Shontel Brown, but by all extents and purposes, those are the main candidates running. We'll wait for a little bit more, a couple more people to come in here, but please smash that like button, thumbs up button right under the live stream. Share this live stream. It's a little bit early on the West Coast, so hopefully as our friends on the West wake up, they'll tune in. We are here just doing kind of an update from our hotel, but in about an hour, we'll be headed to an event with Cornel West. Cornel West will be campaigning for Nina Turner in Akron. So if you don't know Ohio, we're kind of in the northeast, and this district, District 11, is Cleveland and Akron. Cleveland is the poorest big city in America, and Akron, which is about half hour, 40 minutes away from Cleveland, is also pretty impoverished. So Jenn and Colin covered the big rally yesterday, which had 900 people.
Yeah, the campaign came out with the numbers and said there were about 900 people in attendance, which I have to say sounds right to me. It was completely packed. It was not a giant theater. So I think, the campaign planned very well for the sizing. It was, I don't think they could have fit any more people in, to be honest.
Right. So that was in Cleveland. Bernie spoke. Cornel West spoke. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison spoke. A couple other people spoke. There was one hell of a violin player.
Oh, I was so obsessed. This violinist, let me get his name. You can keep talking, but I'll shout him out because I didn't catch it in real time yesterday, but someone tagged me in that, so I have it now.
So, but yeah, the enthusiasm there was pretty big. When you look at Shontel Brown's opponent events, her star speaker was James Clyburn, who apparently it's not enough to stop Bernie Sanders presidentially. He's very concerned about the people of Cleveland and Akron, so he's in town this weekend. He spoke for Shontel Brown at a local church, one other place. Definitely not the big crowd that Nina Turner had, but at the end of the day, in a special election, it's about voter turnout, not who has the biggest rally. So although Nina had a big crowd at this rally, really what comes down to how many of them live in Cleveland and Akron and are eligible to vote. So in these final days, Nina's campaign, as well, I'm sure Brown's campaign, are doing the dirty work, knocking on the doors, canvassing. I just tweeted out suddenly, shocking, they're announcing changes of polling places. So, it's hard enough from what I've seen in elections. Most people in the districts don't even know there is a special election or that there is a primary. I saw that in 2016 when I covered Tim Canova versus Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I followed volunteers knocking on doors. Most people aren't aware that there's a special election, a primary. So when you add on the lack of knowledge people have to that there is an election, when it is, and then the fact that just a few days before the election, polling places, our announcements of polling places changing, the addresses changing, we see this over and over again. In my view, it's a way to minimize voter turnout, to confuse people, for people to go to where they usually vote, only to find out it's not there anymore. Whether they'll then take the effort to drive to the new polling place, who knows? So
before you move on, so the name of the artist who performed yesterday at Nina's rally is Humble G the Fiddler. So cool. I would attend a concert of his that lasted for 10 hours. So he is at Humbleg _ hip hope on Twitter. That's at HUMBLEG _ hip hope.
correct. So, before we get into like kind of what's coming up, tell us, give your recap again of yesterday. Big crowd, Bernie spoke, there was a march after. What was your takeaway?
So, yesterday I have to say it was a really cool day. It was an important day, I think, not just for Nina Turner in the special election, but I think for a lot of progressives around the country, because it's been a while since we've had a really important election like this. A lot of people are down since the 2020 primary, and understandably so. On a personal level, I am too. It's hard to kind of keep the faith. We had the big Cori Bush win, which pumped up a lot of people, but it's hard to kind of maintain hope. So to be amongst a crowd of people who still have hope, who are fighting for policy, to be around some of the biggest fighters for policy was really cool on a personal level. As far as how the day went, kind of what happened, it was a big crowd, again, of around 900 people. It started with a rally right here in Cleveland, and there were a variety of speakers. Dr. Victoria Dooley, a lot of these folks were Bernie Sanders surrogates as well, AG Keith Ellison, Dr. Cornel West, a ton of people, but they also brought in local politicians who are, of course, known to folks in this district, which in the end is extremely important to bring out those who are known to people who are actually going to be voting in this election. And they also brought out young artists who care and contribute to the movement as well. And then directly after, Nina Turner and Senator Bernie Sanders and AG Keith Ellison and Dr. Cornel West marched to a literal polling site, because right now you can vote early here in Ohio's 11th district. So, if you are in this district, you can get out and vote. And people were able to march right alongside Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner, which was quite cool. I'll share more for our members at statuscoup.com/join, as well as for members here on YouTube, which there's a join button right underneath the video. But I was directly, for much of the march, directly behind Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner, and literally like shoulder to shoulder with Cornel West. There was such a mess of media darting around and like just being wild. It kind of turned dangerous at certain points, because you're trying to get good footage. I'm trying to report. I'm trying to capture some behind the scenes footage, which I got some great behind the scenes stuff of Bernie and Nina, by the way, for members, that I'll post. But I ended up, as luck or as shouldering your way in would have it, right next to Dr. West, who I think is one of the great thinkers, one of the great minds of our time. And not only that, but he truly does fight for justice and policy. But I ended up like wedged between, because we had to stay on the sidewalk in this march to the polls, like wedged between Dr. West and the fence. And he kept apologizing, and I'm like, no, I'm the uncool person here. Don't apologize to me. I did not say that because that would have made me more of a dork, but that was definitely going on in my head. So I have more to share about that experience for members, statuscoup.com/join. And then, of course, I interviewed folks who had attended the march. I asked them about why they support Nina Turner, because obviously everybody there did, and more importantly, policy, because clearly people were not giving up much of their Saturday in the heat. It was quite hot in the midst of summer for no reason. They weren't doing it for their own benefit. They were doing it for the not me, us principle. They were doing it for policy. So it was a very cool stream, almost 3 hours long. Check it out, and we'll also be posting additional clips from that.
And, I think this election has really become nationalized for good reason. Obviously Hillary Clinton, James Clyburn, multiple super PACs have flooded in, through endorsements, through negative television ads against Nina. So it really has become nationalized, but people should realize, like, this specific area is one of the poorest in the country. And there's the thunder outside. So in 2019, more than 114,000 people lived in poverty in Cleveland, including 37,700 children and nearly 12,000 older adults. Cleveland remained dead last among large cities in child poverty. So highest child poverty in the nation with 46.1%. More than 6,500 of those adults in poverty in Cleveland worked full-time. So, needless to say, it's a pretty poor, impoverished area. Akron, which is about 40 minutes away and is part of the district, is also pretty poor. So, it's a majority black community. So, I think, listen, honestly, to me, it's a crapshoot. We really don't know what the polling is because the polls... The few polls that have been out, one came from Nina's campaign several months ago. One came from Chantel Brown's campaign recently. Polling in special elections is kind of hit or miss, and it really just comes out to voter turnout. So I don't know who's going to win. I think it's going to be close. I think Nina Turner has a good shot. And I think, personally, I think this is important, not just in terms of like who wins here in Cleveland, but nationally, because I think if Nina Turner is successful, and by the way, smash the like button. We got 160 people watching, but let's get it out to more people. Share this live stream. I think if Nina Turner does win, it really diminishes and kind of weakens the establishment playbook. Besides the rigging. It weakens the establishment playbook that they've been using basically the entire Bernie era, which is, progressives can't win in the Midwest. People in the Midwest are moderate. They don't want Medicare for all. They don't want, free stuff. They are, more incremental, so to speak. We heard that over and over and over again in the presidential election, that people in the Midwest will not go for Bernie. They want, broccoli and green beans from Uncle Joe. Well, Nina's been running on Medicare for all. I get it. She didn't come to the march, but she's been running, not hiding, very unabashedly on Medicare for all.
Well, I want to say, on the point of her not coming to the march, she literally spoke to thousands of people, as did AOC, that very day about Medicare for all.
In the district she's trying to win.
Yes.
So, if the people vote for her and she wins, clearly Medicare for all is not kryptonite on the local level, particularly in the Midwest. If Democrats want to keep the White House. Ohio, where we are now, has been moving red. So having a strong, frankly, black Congresswoman in Nina Turner, a strong progressive who wins in the Midwest, granted it wouldn't be statewide, but in a major city, would be pretty damn good. And, you know, obviously, I think Jen and I have given our piece and then some in terms of the people on the left who apparently Nina Turner is now not good enough for you. But I do think also, you know, I'm just going to say what I think. I think AOC, the squad, I think that they might share a lot of our policy views, but I think strategically and just in terms of political intelligence and instincts, they're not good. They're not strong. And I think Nina Turner, I think she knows when you have to compromise, because I know nobody wants to hear it, but, you know, in politics, we don't have the White House right now. Progressives don't have the White House. We don't have majorities in the Senate or Congress. So, sure, we can leverage our votes, which Jen and I are for. I think they should have leveraged their votes during Force the Vote, demanded concessions. I think Bernie should leverage his vote more, particularly on a $15 minimum wage. If Joe Manchin could hold the country if Joe Manchin could hijack the country, why can't Bernie Sanders? But I think Nina Turner is the type of person and politician that knows when to make a deal and knows when I'm going to just say, fuck it, and go scorched earth. And I think that would be valuable having her in Congress, not just for the people of Cleveland, but frankly for other progressives who are in Congress to kind of have that, I would say, leader to kind of, you know, help maybe, lead a little bit more of an organized voting bloc among progressives. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I do. I also want to read a quote from Bernie Sanders' speech yesterday during the rally, which is something that I've been pointing out and I think is an extraordinarily important point when it comes to this special election. So what he said was, to me, what is really remarkable about this particular election is the incredible amount of money that the powerful special interests of this country are spending trying to defeat Nina. So I ask the people of Cleveland a very simple question. Why is it that the drug companies and the insurance companies, the fossil fuel industry and Wall Street, and people who supported Donald Trump are pouring millions of dollars into this campaign to defeat Nina Turner? And the answer is pretty simple. They know that when she is elected, she's going to stand up and take them on in the fight for justice. And so that's what I've been saying, you know, to the criticism of Nina Turner, to those who are already calling her a sellout, even though she's in no elected office. Why, if she is no different than Chantal Brown, you know, and to those people who are saying, I hope Chantal Brown wins because fraud squad, which that's insane if you are a true progressive. But why, if Nina Turner is no different than a Joe Biden, than a Chantal Brown, than a corporatist Democrat, then why are corporatists, why are establishment Democrats spending so much money to try to defeat her? Why are Republicans and Trump supporters spending so much money to try to defeat her? Why is, you know, the fossil fuel, you know, special interests, Wall Street, insurance companies, why is all this money being spent to try to defeat Nina Turner? The answer is pretty clear. It's because they're terrified of a Nina Turner in Congress.
And by the way, listen, Nina Turner's not a god. We're not gods. No politician is God. I know a lot of you don't realize no YouTube host is God. Don't follow any YouTube host or politician 100% of the time. So, bottom line, if she gets in there and she starts talking the language of, you know, let's get more access to Medicare and let's, you know, do these small ball things, have at it. Criticize her, slam her, pressure her. We're not saying, you know, don't criticize her. I just think at the end of the day, so much of the progressive movement right now, 2 days before this election, is focused on bullshit, frankly, while, very dedicated people are out here, and people from around the country have come here to knock on doors for Nina Turner. Sure, it's fair. A lot of you might have phone banked for squad members, donated, volunteered, and you don't think they're fighting hard enough for you. And I totally understand that. But there is something called projection. Don't project your disappointment with these folks over here onto somebody over here. And I'll just say, listen, I think not just the progressive movement, but I think Americans in general have hardcore selective amnesia. Like, it wasn't so long ago that Nina Turner dropped her endorsement for Hillary Clinton, which at the time was kind of political suicide. You don't want to get on Hillary and Bill's bad side. Go ask some people who might not be with us anymore. You don't want to get on Hillary. You don't want to get on Hillary and Bill's bad side. She switched her endorsement to Bernie. At the time, Bernie's campaign was just like fly by the seat of your pants. It was not, 10 to 20,000 people at rallies. She did it because she believed in him. She didn't there was no pathway here for her to become some big national star at that moment. Then you fast forward to the 2016 convention, which I was there. Jen was there. Mm-hmm. She raised holy hell. She raised holy hell on behalf of Bernie Sanders delegates who were being mistreated by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC. Fast forward to 2020.
And by the way, I might be flip-flopping this in my mind, but they banned her from nominating him, right?
Yeah.
And so Tulsi did it instead of Nina. So they've been shaking in their boots about Nina Turner since at least 5 years ago.
Peter Hager just said you went there on Hillary.
By the way, that was a joke to all Clintons. Just letting you know, guys.
And YouTube. That was a joke. By the way, just so you know, we got 250 people watching. Listen, this is not.
By the way, Peter, are you guys here? Just.
I think it's coming later.
Okay.
We need your support. Jen created speak for yourself. You created a.
Yeah, so I created, what I tend to do for these reporting trips is create specific pages that they're like their own blog pages, like a single page where I update you daily on what we're doing, what live streams we've done, what video clips we're putting up, who we're talking to, kind of behind the scenes stuff, like behind the scenes of poor Jordan's purgatory in the Detroit airport. So it's a lot of fun. There's behind the scenes pictures and videos, and it's great. But also that page serves as a way for us to raise funds for this trip. As you may know, or if you're new to us, maybe you don't know, we are completely viewer funded and supported. We're independent. And so that means we're not beholden to corporations. We have nobody above our heads telling us what to do, what to report on. We are answerable only to you. With that said, we also don't just sit in a studio. That serves its role, but we are in-field and investigative reporters, which comes at a very, very high cost. The cost of flights for 3 people, the cost of hotel rooms, rental car, food, gas, all the normal things. Like, think about if you've, a lot of people aren't able to do this, but if you've taken a family trip recently, just how much that costs. And we try to remain frugal, but it really adds up. But we will never give up because this in-field reporting is so, so important. So if you are at all financially able to help support this trip at any amount, you can go to statuscoup.com/Nina Turner, and there's a button there where you can support us via Stripe or PayPal. Any amount helps. Every amount helps. That's also where you'll find those daily blog updates, the links to our videos, live streams, clips, and the behind the scenes funny things, stressful things, poor Jordan, and videos, everything else. So it's a great fun page. Bookmark it, check back into it regularly. You can also, on that page, you'll now get kind of a pop-up that says, do you want to be notified of new posts on statuscoup.com, and click yes. And so you'll be notified then when I update the page. So yeah, please, if it's on your heart, if it's in your finances, please help us. To be honest, we've only received one donation towards this trip. Not including GoFundMe. We have received a few there. But as far as, via this fundraiser, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous because this is a high cost and we're a very, very small company. And
we should say we just spent a shit ton of money trying to get the Flint bombshell that we just broke out to more people.
Yeah, so in order to try to get the truth out about Flint, we took out a press release, and that was extraordinarily expensive. Like, I'm literally nervous right now thinking about the amount of money we've had to spend for journalism and truth in the past week. And that in that press release, it states that the House Oversight Committee, due to our reporting, they are now investigating what we found. So to check out that story, you can go to statuscoup.pub/Flint water cover-up. You can also check our Twitter for the press release we put out. But the point is, it's a lot. It costs a lot to do what we do. We believe wholeheartedly in it, but we do need your help. We're a little bit desperate for your help. It's not. My background is marketing and business. It's not a good marketing strategy to appear desperate, but
it is a good marketing strategy to appear authentic.
Yeah, and so that's what this is about. Like, we're authentic. We're here on a hope and a prayer because we believe it is important to shine a light on truth, because the fact of the matter is there are a lot of lies happening here in Ohio's 11th district. A lot of lies. Actually, Bree Gray Joy Gray, I always mix it up. I apologize to Bree. She posted this on her Twitter. She's apparently staying with her grandmother, and her grandmother has a collection of like Chantel Brown's pamphlets or postcards that she's mailed out from her campaign or whoever, maybe PACs, I don't know who sent these out, but it's like complete lies about Nina Turner. There are smears, there's a lot of shenanigans going on, and so I feel like it's so important for us to be here on the ground. It's great for us to cover things like the rally yesterday, the march to the polls yesterday. It's exciting personally and professionally to be around such leftist fighters as we're here yesterday, but it's also important for us to be here so that we can report on whatever shenanigans pop up in this race. So all that is to say, if, again, it's on your heart and your finances, please help support us. statuscoup.com/Nina Turner. You can also, if you prefer, help out at gofundme.com/statuscoup or paypal.me/statuscoup.
And by the way, for you Status Coup members, because we are currently about 95 members away from 2,000, so we're at 1,905 members. I just uploaded this morning for our members and patrons me playing Mario Kart, which we just got a Nintendo Switch.
Mario
Kart.
By the way,
can I finish?
Yeah. Okay.
So
sorry. This is funny though.
This is a game. We got a Nintendo Switch. So when I'm back and when I have time, I'm going to start playing video games on Twitch, our Twitch channel,
which is going to be hilarious.
So Mario Kart,
Mario,
Super Donkey Kong Country, Smash Brothers. I might get a couple more. So go check out that video, because let me tell you, I crushed it in my first level for Mario Kart.
Like most people on Twitch are playing like Resident Evil and other games, and Jordan's gonna be playing Mario Kart. So I told my oldest son that you say Mario, and he's like, oh, Nintendo literally made a character in a game, I can't remember which game, making fun of people who say it that way.
Oh, interesting.
Like they made, I guess it was like a helper character or whatever, and her name is Mary O, to make fun of people like you Long Islanders.
Got it.
Anyway.
And by the way, speaking of the rigging, we're already finding things. If you weren't, I mentioned this at the top, but they are now announcing 2 days before the election polling place changes. So we've seen this in many, many primaries, many, many elections where suddenly a bunch of polling places change and people don't know about it. Why they're changing polling places in a special election, I would assume the previous polling places that people know to go to had enough space, but they're suddenly changing polling places and announcing it 2 days before the election, which is obviously going to cause confusion, going to cause people to go to the polling places that they previously knew. So yeah, that's a way they're trying to rig this.
Sorry to interrupt, but I feel this is important, and I'm hopeful that this is going to be a helpful, good thing. And just in case he logs off, Mark Fox, we don't have a way to contact you through YouTube. And Mark Fox is saying, reach out to me, seriously, I can help with no strings funding. So we don't have a way to contact you through YouTube. Please email us at go ahead, my personal one, Jenn Elizabeth at statuscoup.com, JENN ELIZABETH at statuscoup.com. And you can also add on info at statuscoup.com if you want to tell yours. Go for
No,
it.
I don't. Info
it's pretty easy to guess.
Info at statuscoup.com. I just put it in there. Welcome new YouTube member, Robert Abrams. Welcome, Robert. Appreciate it. And I don't know, it's very rare that there are no strings, but if there are no strings, please reach out to us. Jen gave her email. You could also reach out at info at statuscoup.com. Outside of just financial stuff, if you live in the Cleveland, Akron area, if you're seeing any funny business, if you're seeing, I don't care what it is, even if it's something as small as Nina Turner yard signs being taken down, email us.
Yeah.
Info at statuscoup.com. We're here to alert the public what's going on. So as I was saying, this whole changing the polling places at the last minute is a form of voter suppression. They're doing it to minimize the amount of people that come out, because usually establishment candidates typically do better if it's a lower voter turnout. Bernie said that all the time on the campaign trail. So definitely, I tweeted it earlier, a list of polling places that have been changed. So you could go to my Twitter at Jordan Chariton to see which polling places have been changed and where they've been changed to. So, yeah, I think, as we were talking about, this is very important. It's kind of a little bit of a Bernie campaign vibe with Cornel West on the ground here. Attorney General Keith Ellison has spoken for Nina here. Danny Glover, the actor, is coming tomorrow to campaign for Nina Turner. Might be some last-minute surprises. We should say, and this kind of goes to this other topic, Cori Bush, the Congresswoman Cori Bush, was going to come here, but obviously, if you've been paying attention, she, along with Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, has been sleeping out on the Capitol steps for, I think, almost 40, maybe 2 days now, to try and basically force Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party to come back. Congress just went on a 7-week vacation. Can you imagine that? Literally, they do nothing but call their donors for money. They don't actually do anything else. They don't accomplish anything else. And then they get a 7-week vacation. But weeks ago, we were on the road covering the evictions that have already happened. So this idea that the federal eviction moratorium had protected everybody, no. We exposed that there were already mass evictions going on because this federal moratorium had more loopholes in it than a roller coaster. People were being evicted for fake nuisance violations. People were being evicted because they weren't keeping their property up. People were being evicted simply because their lease was up and their landlord was kicking them out. So technically, landlords couldn't evict for non-payment, but they found other reasons to evict that the moratorium didn't protect. However, the federal moratorium expires today. So Cori Bush, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing, because on one end you got a lot of progressives are slamming the squad for doing nothing, but then she went out there to do something, and she's still somehow getting slammed. But anyway, Cori Bush, who has been homeless, not long ago, she slept in her car with 2 kids, like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
She was out there basically calling out Pelosi Biden by name, saying this is unacceptable. They were pointing out what we were pointing out during our reporting tour, that literally you're talking tens of billions of dollars were passed to go towards rental relief, yet the states didn't distribute it. Where the fuck is that money? So she was saying, we've already done our job. We need to extend this eviction moratorium. Upwards of 11 million people are facing eviction today as this new variant, the Delta variant, runs wild. We're now up to 70,000 cases. It keeps increasing every day. So, this is America. And by the way, you better damn well believe the big banks, the real estate development companies, they are tossing people to the streets rapid fire as we speak, because they have been waiting anxiously and eagerly to get the go-ahead to evict people, and I'm sure they're doing it now.
So Cori Bush, people have been gathering more and more as time goes on. I actually got a message within the first 5 hours that Cori was out there saying hey, can you come cover this? I got a tip that she was going to be out there. And not unfortunately, but unfortunately for that situation, I was here in Cleveland and couldn't. Otherwise, I would have, gone immediately. And that would have been great because we would have been the only media there. But anyway, as news got out, people have started gathering around, the Capitol steps. And so Cori Bush gave a speech, I believe it was last night. And so for people who are perhaps saying this is just a photo op, she doesn't actually care, I'm not here to convince you one way or the other, but I would perhaps urge you to think about her personal story, which she told part of yesterday. She has indeed been homeless, and again, with 2 children. And from what she talked about last night, at least one of them was an infant. And she talked about, after she would finally fall asleep in her vehicle, she would wake up thinking, oh my God, did someone break in? Are my kids still here? Were they, taken? Is the baby still breathing? And that sort of panic and fear for a mother isn't something you can fake or ever forget, ever. So I personally strongly believe that, of course, she cares deeply about those who are now going to be evicted, those single mothers, those families who are going to be without a home, who have their own babies and children. So.
And we just got a road trip, Nina Turner election road trip donation for $50. Holy cow. Let me thank this fine soul. Thank you very much. I think it...
Go down a little bit.
Christopher, thank you very much. We also got a donation from Lynn, so thank you very much to Lynn. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. We got Christopher, Lynn, and Jean Paul. Thank you very much.
We actually have some more shout outs as well. So through our statuscoup.com/Nina Turner page, thank you guys for coming through and keep it coming. Thank you so much to David Hernandez, who was our first and only supporter yesterday. So major shout out to David. And just now, thank you so much to Dominique. Thank you so much to Letitia. Thank you so much again to Christopher, to Jean Scheid, and to Philip Foster. You guys are so amazing. You're making this possible. We really appreciate you. statuscoup.com/Nina Turner. And welcome to new Status Coup member here on YouTube, Deborah Cochran. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you. So just so you know, guys, we're going to cover an event with Cornell West. It's raining now, so it might be a little delayed, but it's supposed to start around 1 o'clock Eastern time. Who knows if it will start on time because it's raining here in Cleveland. But we'll be covering an event with Cornel West in a little bit.
And I think we'll have a chance, because this will be a much smaller event. I was only able to ask Dr. West one question yesterday, so hopefully we'll be able to grab him for longer today. So definitely you want to check that out.
And I will say, if I get to interview Cornel West, I mean, Jen and I could keep telling you, stop with the nihilism, stop with the it's all hopeless. But I'm going to ask Cornel West about that. Because Cornel West, if he's anything, I don't think he has a lot of tolerance for people just saying, like, they're all frauds, they're all sellouts, you know, they're just going to sell us out, don't bother. I'd like to hear what Cornel West has to say, because I bet it's a lot more profound and intelligent than anything we could say.
I also, before we move on, I want to shout out some new members from our statuscoup.com/join page, which again, for both YouTube Status Coup members and our website Status Coup members, I have some fantastic Bernie and Anita behind the scenes stuff and some great stories to tell you guys. And Jordan has a Colin and Jordan playing, I believe, Mario Kart. Mario Kart behind the scenes footage as well. So we'll have tons of behind the scenes stuff for you guys at statuscoup.com/join, just as low as $5 a month. So major shout out for those who have joined since this trip started. So thank you for joining Anonymous for a year. Thank you, thank you. Shout out to Joan, Stacy, Lynn, and Christopher. Thank you guys for joining.
So we're close. We're 95 members away from 2,000. So hopefully we can get more signups while we're here on the ground. You know, frankly, there's a whole new cottage industry in progressive media of people sitting on their ass commenting on other people's commentary, I mean, literally, you look at, like, it's now like 20 to 30 channels. They're all talking about the same shit. They're all like hot reactions, hot takes to this person's hot take, to that person's hot take. I really can't keep up with it. As far as I could tell, we're one of the few that actually leaves the studio. I'm all for, you know, Crystal, Kyle, you know, there's great commentators that do great work. You don't necessarily need to, like, go out there and report. But I think, you know, we don't just tell you, we show you. It's not just this. We just broke a massive story on Flint, to me, the biggest government cover-up of the 21st century. We were able to break that by going to Flint a lot. We were just on a reporting tour for 2 weeks through Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia. And there's plenty of other places we want to go, but we could only go as far as you take us. So support us in this current trips reporting fundraiser. That's statuscoup.com/Nina Turner. And of course, if you can, sign up as a member at statuscoup.com/join. Jordan, I'm convinced it's a grift now. Yeah, Jen and I had a conversation this morning. I think we've paid way too much attention to these people. So we're just going to focus on what we're doing, because I think right now we are in the right place. This is a really, really important election, not just for Cleveland and Akron, but for the progressive movement. I know a lot of progressives have kind of lost sight of, you know, they're angry, they're frustrated, but like not so long ago, you were all big Nina Turner fans. So really start to think about what changed. Because as far as I could tell, I haven't seen any like big red blinking light signs that Nina Turner has changed. I mean, she's not running on Medicare for all who want it. She's not running on like a green new diversion. She's not running on, you know, little nothing. She's running on core policies. The devil's advocate, you could say, well, Jordan, all these people run on it, and then they go fight, and they don't fight for it. Please send me...
Then criticize her when that happens.
Right, but please send me your crystal ball. Send us your crystal ball that you see 6 months down the road that Nina Turner isn't fighting. Because all I've seen somebody over the last few years is somebody who has fought, who's somebody who, by the way, just a year ago, she went around the country again to elect Bernie Sanders. She basically moved to South Carolina to try to get him to improve in that state. It's not her fault Bernie tanked in that state. So, like, this is not somebody that there's no track record to look at. And I just think people need to realize, whatever, if you think it's all hopeless and a waste, I don't know why you're watching, frankly, if that's what you think. But for the people that still want to accomplish things, for the people that think that we could actually achieve change, I don't think it's only going to be through electoral politics. No. I've been on the record. We need a general strike. And it's not going to happen overnight. It starts with smaller economic boycotts of specific companies that hopefully could build up into one national strike. So it's not all electoral politics. We're not misleading you that, like, if Nina Turner is elected, it will part the seas and, heal the world. Of course not. And again, if she doesn't do what she says she's going to do, then she has every right to be criticized. I just think people need to, like, what do you say? Go outside and touch the grass?
Yeah, that's the thing is now that people are saying, for those who are terminally online. And I will also add that I have, as a journalist, a responsibility, I feel, to call out the truth and also to point out, as a commentator, in addition to an in-field and investigative reporter, to point out the truth. I can't even count the number of times that I yesterday corrected people in the comments of our videos on the Nina Turner reporting. People were saying, Nina Turner has totally abandoned Medicare for All. She never talks about it anymore. And we know where that rhetoric comes from, but it's not true. Again, on the day of the Medicare for All march, the March for Medicare for All, which we attended, I covered it. I thought it was a good event. She and AOC both spoke about Medicare for All. Yesterday, Nina Turner spoke about Medicare for All. Literally on the same video where Nina Turner spoke about Medicare for All, we had people talking about how Nina Turner has abandoned all discussion of Medicare for All. So that is a lie that people are spreading, that good people in good faith are just like absorbing and thinking is true, and it is not true. So as someone who personally wants to fight for Medicare for All, that is my number one thing. It drives me insane. And I will tell you that there is purposeful division trying to break up the left. Think about it. If you were someone who had an interest in preventing Medicare for All from ever happening, in preventing progressive policies from ever passing, what would you do? You would do everything you could to divide the left. Everything. Well, how could you do that? You would do what is happening right now. You would try to take down and delegitimize the fighters for these progressive policies. So it drives me insane when there are bad faith actors out there, including some posing as journalists, and I won't stand for it.
I also think, I see, not just in this chat, but just in general, I see this like pattern developing, and this is, it's stunning to me, to tell you the truth. It's stunning to me that people who, again, we get it. You have a right to be upset. I mean, literally, we've just gone through a pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. Basically, you got a $2,000 check is basically it. Unemployment that a lot of people eligible didn't get. An eviction moratorium that, as we broke, people were still getting mass evicted despite the moratorium. The planet's on fire, and they're basically doing nothing. Biden just increased the defense budget by $25 billion. It was already $750 billion, I think. You have a right to be upset. You have a right to be angry. You have a right to be cynical. But I also think people need to ask themselves a basic question. What do you want? Not just about Nina Turner in general. What is it that you want? Because I see people kind of having it both ways here. On one end, they're pissed off that the squad or Bernie won't fight, that they won't speak up, but then when they start doing things, it's not enough. Or, oh, it's just a photo op. Or, oh, it's just theater. I mean, make up your fucking mind. Cori Bush, whatever you think her motivation was, I've met Cori Bush. I could tell you what her motivation was to camp out outside the Capitol. It's because she's a hardcore activist who's been homeless, and she's passionate about stopping homelessness because she's experienced it. So Cori Bush went out there. She, what? Are you, because she didn't go out there a week earlier, you're upset? I don't, I think what Jen's saying is right. There definitely are some bad faith actors trying to divide the left. But then I look at just from the common sense perspective, people want progressives, want the squad to fight. Then when they go out there and camp out, then when she by name calls out Biden and Pelosi, she went on MSNBC and other channels calling them out. She called for them to come back to Congress immediately. I'm seeing it's just a photo op, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, then stop talking. Because if you're going to shit on them for not doing anything, and then you're going to shit on them for doing, when they do things, then it's not really good faith. You've just kind of lost your fucking mind at that point. Because you cannot be made happy at that point. It doesn't matter what they do or don't do. You're just going to slam them regardless. And by the way, that is coming. That mentality is coming from a whole cottage industry of YouTube hosts and tweeters. Same thing with Bernie Sanders. Jen and I discussed this. I've been slamming Bernie Sanders for not playing hardball. He finally plays hardball. You might not have learned this because it's not being covered on many shows. He said, I will not vote. I will basically tank the bipartisan infrastructure deal, because if they lose Bernie's vote, they can't pass it. I will tank the bipartisan infrastructure deal that Biden is so, eager to get something bipartisan if there's not a massive, separate reconciliation bill. Bernie said, I will not take anything less than $6 trillion. That was obviously bullshit. He knew he wasn't going to get $6 trillion from the Democratic Party. But because Bernie threatened, I'm not going to vote for what Biden wanted, the Democratic Party went up to $3.5 trillion for a reconciliation bill. Then people are saying, it's crumbs. That's the biggest social spending package in modern American history. Does it give us Medicare for all at this moment? No. But Bernie's not the president. So on one end, you bitch and complain that he's not playing hardball. Then when he does play hardball and forces the Democratic Party, we're not talking about moving the Overton window. We're talking about a substantive thing. He got the Democratic Party to agree to a $3.5 trillion bill. People are still complaining. So I'm kind of, at this point, a little puzzled because it doesn't really seem like the people complaining, it doesn't really seem to me as much that it's about policy anymore. It seems to me that it's just about being angry and taking that anger. And by the way, anger could be weaponized for good. Anger can be weaponized strategically, intelligently, and be used in a good way. But when it's wasted just to kind of flail out into the wind, I'm sorry to tell you, we cannot rant and rave change into existence. Let me repeat it. We cannot rant and rave change into existence. I wish that were true. I would rant a lot more. So make up your mind. Okay, so Cori Bush wasn't out there camping out 2 weeks ago? Or she's not out there calling Pelosi Lucifer? She's out there. And by the way, why should these people want to keep fighting for you if when they do fight, you're just going to shit on them? I just don't get it.
Well, and so people are saying to me on Twitter in particular, this is one conversation that I didn't have time to continue with, but saying, oh, what is sleeping on the stairs going to do? Well, that's not all that they are doing. That's not all that the squad is doing. They did try to technically force a vote on this. They tried to get Congress to stay to push this through.
Not tried. They're still trying. They haven't given up.
Yeah. So that is what's happening. Yeah, that's a great point. They're actively still trying to make this happen. That's why Cori Bush is still here. There are people on Twitter right now going around saying, like, this is all a photo op. Cori Bush is actually in Cleveland. Look. And so they're pasting the flyer that said she was going to be here stumping for Nina. She's not here, guys. She's still back in D.C. at the Capitol trying to make this happen because she cares about this. So the very same people who are telling you that forcing the vote is the truth and justice and power, which I agreed with force the vote, are now telling you, no, actually, that's not what I meant. That's still not good enough. What they did what you wanted on this issue, and it's still not good. It's still just a photo op. There's a lot of disingenuousness and misframing around this. Take a look at who is telling you what and what the truth is.
So, Rondo, you just said they're not fighting, Jordan and Jen. Okay, Rondo, let me ask you a question. If they're not fighting, what are you and the people saying they're not fighting? What are you doing to stop the eviction moratorium? Seriously. If what they're doing is not fighting, because we're talking about something specific right now. They are out on the Capitol steps demanding Pelosi, by name, they're calling her out, and Biden, come back, bring Congress back, and extend this moratorium. I think the moratorium's ridiculous. They should just forgive the fucking rent. It's a pandemic. You don't just kick the can down the road. By the way, it's not just for tenants. Not every landlord is a big bank. There are normal working people that are landlords that have been working with tenants to not kick them out. So a lot of landlords need relief too. But like you say, they're not fighting. Would you prefer they don't go sleep out on the Capitol and call Biden and Pelosi out? I just don't get it. Like, what do you want? Because I got news for you. The Holy Grail is not merely forcing the vote, which I agreed with, by the way. If you think they're not fighting because they're not forcing the vote, okay, I agree they should force the vote. But, like, that should cancel out what they're doing right now. Make up your mind. You can't just be a never-ending nihilist that they're not fighting, they're not playing hardball, they're just doing photo ops, and then when they do something. I mean, AOC just went on CNN this morning and called out Biden and called out Pelosi. She said, this is not the Republicans' fault, which is how Pelosi's trying to frame it. She called out the Democratic Party and Pelosi. Does she do it enough? Hell no. I mean, I've criticized AOC, but at a certain point, like, if nothing's going to be good enough for you, then stop pretending it's about policy, because it's not. And it's not about policy if you're just going to bitch, no matter what. And by the way, I'm also sick. I'm also extremely sick of all of these people who are very, very eager to toss bombs and call everybody and their mother a sellout. But then when Jen and I challenge you, even in my view, very tepidly, oh, stop punching down on us. Stop attacking your viewers. Stop working. Like, don't be such fucking snowflakes, okay? If you could dish it, be prepared for your views to be challenged.
So so there's a lot here. And I want to address some things that people are saying in the chat. First of all, I know that a lot of people have turned into such have kind of transformed their thinking because of what has happened with Bernie. The DNC did screw him over. They did cheat, admittedly. So if you think that there's no longer or never was hope in electoral politics, then why are you spending 24, and I'm not saying you, this is like the general you, and if this doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you. But then why are you spending 24/7 online screaming about electoral politics? Do something else. Organize somehow else. Organize a general strike. Do something else. There are still people who believe that electeds can bring change. So people can have differences of opinion, but why are you so worried about people who are trying to make change in their own way, like a Cori Bush and Ilhan Omar and Ayanna Pressley, who are doing what a lot of these same people purportedly wanted them to do? You know, it just doesn't make sense. Because
it's not about policies anymore. It really isn't. Like three members of the squad were camping out for 2 days to stop an eviction moratorium apparently that doesn't matter. That's not good enough for you. And you know, it's like, what did this guy just say? Ohio somebody. Oh, Youngstown Original Clothing. Why does Jenn and Jordan shit on people so much and defend politicians so much? I understand the word nuance. I understand the word nuance is no longer allowed on the internet, but let me explain the nuanced thing to you. If you don't watch this channel, you clearly don't watch this channel because I have criticized AOC, Bernie Sanders, the squad, to the point of, frankly, probably never getting an interview with any of them, and I don't really care. I've criticized them often. So just because I'm calling out what I think is extreme thinking, it's not defending politicians. It's calling your thinking extreme. It could, you know, just because we're telling you we don't agree with your mentality, we think it's self-destructive, we don't think it's actually going to accomplish anything, that's not defending these politicians. That's telling you, criticize them when they deserve to be criticized, but it doesn't seem regardless of what they do, it's good enough. It seems like a certain portion of the left is basically decided to just do a kamikaze mission and burn it all down. And I'm sorry, I understand the instinct to burn it all down. That's not going to get you Medicare for all. It's not going to get you a Green New Deal, save the planet, fill in the rest. So if you feel that challenging you on your views is defending the politicians, totally ignoring that we criticize these politicians all the time, then I don't know what to tell you.
There are
We do gotta go soon.
Okay, so let me rapid fire address a few concerns. President Jesus says she didn't support the activist lists of demands. As someone who wants Medicare for all passed tomorrow, I 100% would not have signed that particular set of demands. Go look at it. If you disagree with me, then we disagree. I wouldn't have signed it. I don't blame her for not signing it. Youngstown Original Clothing says, why do Jordan and Jenn shit on people so much?
I just responded to.
Yeah, I want to comment too. And defend politicians so much. We don't. So I care about truth and justice. We both do. And so this is not about shitting on people. This is about truth. This is about a frustration of being on the ground, talking to real people, going on these reporting trips, reporting on things like Flint, and having people actively, you know, in positions where they have a lot of followers, a lot of influence, actively lying and dividing the left on policies that we personally care about. And professionally, and I've said this earlier, professionally, I care about journalism. I care about truth, and liars and people who misuse this profession drive me insane. So it's not about shitting on people. It's about truth, and we're people. I am so frustrated. Yesterday, we were sitting at dinner, I'm like, I am just so burned out from the online discourse, from the lies, from the obfuscation, from the distraction from policy. It's awful. You know, and if these things don't apply to you, then they don't apply to you. Okay, like, that's it. President Jesus also says, why is a rep camping out? She actually has power. You made this comment after we already said that's not all she's doing. So I don't know what to tell you. That's not all they're doing. Eric Gray, if both Jordan and Jenn are not going to bring up the class divide on the left, then what's the point? Eric, we bring it up all the time. We bring it up all the time.
Oh, my God.
Like, guys, we bring up the class divide all the time, and in fact, that is such a focus of our commentary.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Because we actually broke what we were planning. We actually spoke about before this live stream, like, enough. We're just done responding to all this. So here's what I have to tell you. And I'm saying this very nicely. If you think that us and what we do and us being in the field as much as we are, because we're not just like ranting and raving from a studio, we're out here. If you think what we're doing is not enough for you, if you think ranting and raving is the better strategy, okay. If you think it doesn't matter at all, everyone's a sellout, everyone's a fraud, I don't care if they camp out it. Basically, if you just are so angry and so frustrated that It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't need to look at things case by case. We can't just criticize the politicians. We have to actually venomously cancel them. We can't just criticize YouTube hosts. We have to venomously cancel anyone we don't agree with. Status quo is probably not the right place for you. And I'm not trying to drive viewers away, but frankly, I would just rather not have you. I'm just being honest. I would rather take the hit to us financially and just not have folks like you watch. It's not because I think you're bad people. We've said over and over, we understand your anger, we understand your frustration. We're pissed off. Mm-hmm. Trust me, you're doing this from the comfort of your home. We're seeing the corruption, we're seeing the injustice, we're seeing the rot of the Democratic Party up close, all over the country. So don't speak to us about how we're, clueless or tone deaf. But honestly,
well, that sounds, we don't mean it like condescendingly, but it is different being in the field and literally seeing stuff in front of your face.
Right.
That's what we mean.
But I'll just say, honestly, I'm kind of done with it. I just don't have the patience or the energy to respond anymore to like people in the chat that it's just like, everyone's a sellout. Jordan, it's not enough. This, that, they're all frauds. They're all cowards. I don't care if they camp out at the Capitol. I don't care if they when they call out the Democratic Party. It's just not enough. There's plenty of other channels for you. If you want to hear your views 1,000% validated, if you want what you feel fed to you on a silver platter 24/7, don't watch Status Coup. Because we're never going to just do this for clicks. We're never going to give you what you want to hear 24/7. We're always going to tell you what we honestly think and believe. If you genuinely think we just prop up and defend the Democratic Party, then you're out of your fucking mind. Because we actually have a track record, a very long track record. Go watch my interview with Donna Brazil years ago. Go watch our reporting on how corrupt the Democratic Party is, the election fraud in 2020 during the primary. But honestly, I'm telling you, we can't kill our brain cells anymore responding to people in the chat that just honestly are at a point now where they're nihilists. They don't care about the facts anymore. It doesn't even seem like they care about the policies. They just care about ranting and raving and canceling everybody and their mother. We're a journalistic outfit, so we're going to keep giving the microphone back to the people. And yeah, you could go scream into somebody else's channel.
So I want to address Kate McCoy quickly because we do have to go. Kate says, I've been homeless and I don't need this patronization. So I completely understand where you're coming from. When we say from the comfort of your home, we simply mean seeing stuff up close versus seeing it through whatever device you're watching on. So I sympathize with you. My mother, who I was not raised by, has been homeless most of her life. And at the times when I was quite young, where I, by court order, had to be sent back to her, I've been homeless without food, went through horrible traumatic things that I'm in therapy for, I've been hospitalized for. So I understand. And my life back home wasn't super either. It was, there's a lot there. So I understand not trying to talk down to anyone. We understand the class divide. We understand that people are going through things. I think that is actually where our anger stems from, is because we know people are going through things. We know people are evicted. We know people are homeless. Last month we went on a reporting tour specifically to highlight those things. And because we want Medicare for All passed, personally, because we care personally about progressive policies, this BS that's happening among the terminally online is harming all of that. And so we don't mean to talk down to anyone. I think what you're seeing is a frustration because these things are harming the movement. So,
oh my God.
Kate, I apologize for the way it came across.
Honestly, I'll end with this. I'm a JD fan. Comedians are just better journalists. I learned that from Jon Stewart. Well, if you think that, feel free to go watch Jimmy's journalism. You don't have to watch us. We're going to actually go out and do real journalism now. So that's it. We appreciate you watching. We'll be live probably in about 45 minutes to an hour from an event. Cornel West is campaigning for Nina Turner, so we'll be there. Hopefully we'll be able to interview Cornel West. Probably we'll ask him about some of these things and the hopelessness growing on the left, the anger, what his message to you would be. We'll be here till Election Day. Election Day is on Tuesday, so we'll be covering anything that comes up. Follow us at Status Coup. I'm at Jordan Chariton. I just tweeted earlier that they are just suddenly, the Democratic Party here, announcing polling changes, polling location changes. So I wonder why they're doing that, changing polling locations 2 days before the election. But definitely, we should be live within the next hour. So make sure you're on our text list, statuscoup.com/text, statuscoup.com/text. You'll get a text message when we're live. And we really appreciate all the donations that have been coming in to this trip, statuscoup.com/Nina Turner. Keep it coming. This is expensive. And we will be live in a little bit from the Cornel West event.
Yeah, definitely check us out. A final plea, please, if you're financially able, help us out, statuscoup.com/Nina Turner, or GoFundMe.com/statuscoup, or PayPal.me/statuscoup. Any and every amount helps. Flights, rental car, gas, food, live view, which is the device we use to go live in the field. It all really adds up. It is important to us to expose truth on the ground, and the Democratic establishment, the Democratic elite, Trump folks, Republicans, they're all coming after Nina Turner, and it's for a reason, and we need to be here to expose what's happening. As we said at the top of the show, they're already changing polling locations. Does that sound familiar? It should. So help us expose what is happening here. statuscoup.com/Nina Turner. You can also help out by becoming a member, and you'll get access to my behind-the-scenes footage and stories about being very close, marching behind Bernie Sanders, Nina Turner, Dr. Cornel West, AG Keith Ellison. Lots of good stuff to share with you guys as members. Join with the join button on YouTube or statuscoup.com/join. The next time you see us, we will be live with Dr. Cornel West, and looks like the sun's coming out, so hopefully all will be bright and sunny outside. So we'll see you later. Again, go to statuscoup.com/Nina Turner to see some behind the scenes stuff, get some updates, and also to help support this trip.
Peace out.